Member for Langford, Juan de Fuca.
Thanks very much, Mr. Speaker. I'm particularly proud to stand in this House today as the MLA for Langford Juan de Fuca on behalf of all of the people of Langford Juan de Fuca to speak about a very important piece of legislation. Though after hearing the last 15 minutes or so, I got the sense that from the MLA from Shuswap, he doesn't agree that this is an important legislation that is delivering for people. Always a pleasure to get to stand in this House and talk about the value of community benefit agreements and how they're delivering for people. But I'm going to spend some time actually talking about Bill 38. And what I would add is one of the historic pieces of legislation to be introduced in this House, and again, nation-leading in itself. You know, I spent a lot of time on the doors this year, knocking on a lot of doors throughout Langford and Souk, even out to Port Renfrew, talking to people about the issues that mattered to them, whether that was more housing, access to childcare, investments in healthcare. And this one caught me off guard with the amount of times it came up at the doorstep. And there was one particular constituent who I came across who lives on El Paseo Drive in the southern part of Langford in the Happy Valley, Latoria area. And I remember knocking on her door. She's from the Czechoslovakia, immigrated here over 20 years ago, and is a proud resident of Langford and British Columbia. Brought with her skills and abilities from her home country and all of the time and energy and money that she spent getting a master's degree, only to come to Canada, only to come to British Columbia over 20 years ago and be told that when she was trying to get her credentials recognized, a master's degree, that they would only recognize one credit. That was a slap in the face to her family, and really impacted the trajectory of her life in so many ways. And so that really touched me in a big way, and it's something that I often talk to people about when I'm talking about this legislation, is that constituent who really showed me the need for this type of legislation and the need for government to take action. And that's what this legislation is all about. It's about delivering for people. It's about working with regulators and working with the private sector and working with business. When I look at this legislation, this is a job creation tool in so many ways. For too long, under many governments, going back 30, 40, 50 years, when we had tons of immigrants coming to this country, we said to immigrants, we want you to be here. We want you to be here in British Columbia. But clearly, we told them we didn't want their skills. And by bringing forward this legislation, in so many ways, we're rectifying that. We have a talent shortage in British Columbia. I certainly see that in my community of Langford Juan de Fuca in terms of the different business owners that I talk to. And we're particularly excited in Langford Juan de Fuca because we're going to be opening up a new university, a new post-secondary institution about this time next year. And when I think of the opportunities that gives to people from the tech sector and all across many sectors, the opportunity to immigrate here and utilize their skills, that's good for them. But more so, that's good for us as a government and as a society. The ability for people to come from all walks of life and utilize those skills and deliver important services in so many ways. As Mr. Speaker, as you may know, I served as a school board trustee and chair of my school board for almost 10 years. And one of the issues that we came across in our local school board was specialized teachers and getting access to music teachers, and in particular French immersion teachers. The amount of times that I would go into a classroom and a young student would pull me aside and say, I'm a French immersion student. I'd say, that's fantastic. I wish I did French immersion. I wish I was trilingual. Didn't work out, unfortunately. I got Punjabi, though, so I'm happy about that. But, they pulled me aside and said, I'm a French immersion student, but I want you to know I have a substitute today. And I'm like, okay, cool. Substitutes are great. And they like, do you know what my substitute speaks in class? And I'm like, French? No, English. And because of the shortage of French immersion teachers we have in British Columbia, and in particular we were having in the Souk School District, whenever a French immersion teacher called in sick, there would be an English teacher in front of them. And that certainly impacted students at John Stubbs Memorial School, Belmont, now Royal Bay, that has the French immersion project, and a whole host of other schools across the province. Look, I'm going to be brief. This legislation is about delivering for people, and it's about taking an initiative on that's impacting families all across the country. I had an opportunity to be in Ukraine and now meet with many new refugees who have made British Columbia and Langford Juan de Fuca their home. And they've talked to me about the challenges they're facing with having their credentials recognized. And when they saw this legislation, they saw hope. They saw an opportunity for their credentials to be recognized, and they saw an opportunity for them to be recognized for the work they did in their home country, and for them to be able to continue doing that work here. And so, you know, it's pretty simple when you, after hearing the member talk about this legislation as more red tape and more regulation, it was great to see when the legislation was introduced by my friend, the Minister of State for Workforce Development, Bridget Anderson, who is the president of the Greater Vancouver Board of Trade, simply called it, and I quote, a common sense initiative. A common sense initiative. It's too bad the Conservative members are not here. I think they would have enjoyed that quote. But look, I'll just conclude with saying that I'm particularly proud of the work that the minister has done. I know that he's done a lot of engagement in communities all across the province. I'm certainly looking forward to having him come to my community to talk about this important legislation and what it's going to mean for new immigrants and for people in our communities. And I'll just end with saying that as much as this legislation is important for the next generation, we have another generation that is not going to get a chance to benefit from this. And so to those who have arrived in BC over the years, and I certainly have many family members who would fit this bill and didn't see their hard-earned credentials recognized, or faced countless challenges that led them to go into a different field because they didn't want to go through significant waiting periods. I want them to know that our government is truly sorry, that I'm truly sorry. But with today's legislation, with Bill 38 introduced in this House and being debated now, and hopefully will be passed in due course, I want them to know that we see you, we hear you, and we will deliver for the next generation of British Columbians, and in particular for the people in Langford Juan de Fuca. I want you to know that the conversations that I had, especially that wonderful woman on Apalcio Drive, we're taking action on the issues that matter to her and the issue that she raised with me. Thanks so much, Mr. Speaker.